All right, Phil Levy, magician who has spent 40 years in the business, also a former school teacher, joins me. Thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
So we met at the VFW in Farmingdale at an event for veterans, and met you, and we hit it off right away. And you had an incredible act. We were just talking about everything you did, which was really incredible for veterans. It was a free event that you put on, and really entertained them. They loved it. I was just talking to a veteran today before I came over here to your house who loved the event and was really entertained by it. That's
Right.
something that you do for people. You go to veterans events all the time. We met through Carol Klein at Our Heroes Night Out, right?
Right, that's correct. Yeah, I've been working with Carol is a member of the same Magicians Club, and for many years. And she started this Heroes Night Out with her family. And every year she asks me to perform, and it's my pleasure. It's been many, many years that we've been doing this. And I think it's a connection with the Salvation Army through the VA there. And yeah, it's an important thing to be able to give back and show that it's important, and you understand what it is that they're all about. That just because they're out of the service and they have difficulties, and you want to sort of give them a little lift up. So.
Well, they sure got a kick out of you, and they enjoyed it, especially when you called some of them up. You called me up on stage, too. Took my ring. I thought I wasn't going to get it back.
Yeah, well, that's how I get all my rings.
All right, so you've been in magic for 40 years. Tell me, now you do this for veterans, I know, and some charity work, but you also do this professionally for children. You go to communions, you do weddings, you do a bunch of things.
Right, exactly. At the beginning, when I first started, it was just a matter of doing children's shows. It's interesting in that my first title was Mr. Magic, and I did not know any other magician in the business at that point in time. And I thought it was a brilliant thing to be called. It's just, it tells everybody who I am. Right? And of course, I found out that if you look in the yellow pages and you look across the entire nation, there are about 74,000 Mr. Magics.
Right.
So then I became Mr. Kids Magic. Then I became Kids Magic, etc. Then I became Kids Magic, etc., not just for kids. Then I became Phil's Theatricks. Then it was Theatricks by Phil. And I began to change the name with the things that I was doing, because not only was I working for children, doing children's shows and family shows, but I was doing adult shows, and I was doing bar mitzvahs, and I was doing various characters, like Melvin Plotzman, Professional Nebbish, and wizard in wizard costumes, and I was
get all dressed up.
I was a mime, full white face, top hat, and like that. All not as trained as you might see mimes or you might see other performers, but it was sort of like when I was brought up. I think we might have been the first family in the neighborhood to have a television, and it was the television in my nose. And I just, through osmosis, I gained all that, what I consider talent. And so basically that's what I did for all those years.
What inspired you to get into entertainment? Because you don't just do magic, it's a whole entertainment show.
Mm-hmm. Well, basically it started with crawling on the floor and playing with my children. I was an adult. A lot of my friends, I don't think I mentioned to you that I'm past president of the Assembly 77, which is the Long Island Mystics, which is
Right.
of the Society of American Magicians. And what happened was that I picked up a magic trick and started. All of a sudden, I made an act out of that, and put an ad in a penny saver, and went on from there. People were calling me up, and entertainment is something that is sort of like it was a void that I didn't know that I had, and all of a sudden I was on stage, and I said, "Wow, this is something that is better than anything else that I could imagine."
What about performing, entertaining, what is that passion for you? How do you describe that? And is it something that you feed off from making people smile? What is the energy that you get from that?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much explains it in terms of you're getting that energy from them. You know, you're saying something, they react, whether it be a laugh, whether it be applause, whether it be a laugh. It's all what it is that you're getting back. It's sort of like bouncing back and forth, and it's something that just fills you, fills you up. It's an amazing thing. It's hard to explain, but if you were ever on stage, as you were, and giving me your ring, and but you sort of, I don't know whether
I actually
usually
proposed to you.
right, you did, and I think I said I was married.
Yes.
I'm sorry, and
for many years.
Yes, many years. Knock on wood, and so it was a matter of usually when assistants are on stage, it's like the deer in the headlights kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I have to try and gain your attention, and if I'm going to ask you to do something, I have to look in your eyes, and I have to get you to pay attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the assistant is, they know that all those people are out there, and then they're nervous about the way they look. Is my zipper open, or whatever it is that may be, and but. At a point in time when the assistant gets the laugh, and I try to get the assistant to be the entertainer as well. When they do that and they get off stage, they feel filled with something that is closely akin to what it is that I feel all the time for that hour that I'm on stage.
Right, and you try to loosen them up, I guess. Try to get them really involved in the act, and I could just see the look by someone's face, and I walk up off stage, and like, wow, that just happened. Whatever you may, whether you're pulling my ring through a rope or or the other things. I mean, you have all these props here that you use, and they're all part of your arsenal.
Right, exactly.
So you were also a school teacher.
I was for 34 years.
Did you take this act into the classroom? Did you try to entertain while you were teaching?
Well, my personality is such that as a teacher, you're really performing.
Yeah.
And my personality was such that I was sort of laid back, and I had a sense of humor, and so that was part of it as well. And then occasionally, I'd do a magic trick or two, and there would be certain kids, and I think I just mentioned that it was junior high school, and that's around the time that any kids that are really interested in magic, they really gravitate, towards. And as a matter of fact, there's a magician right now that he just graduated school, but he decided that this is what he wanted to do. Wasn't going to whatever his major was, but magic is now his major. And I hadn't seen him probably for all that time that when he was a teenager, maybe he was 13 or 14 years old, and I hadn't seen him until after he graduated, after he was out there and doing magic full time, and he gave me a call, and he told me that I was the teacher, the person that directed him and made him feel as though this is what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. Now, certainly I wasn't teaching magic. That was just an aside. We were doing something. I was enjoying working with him and teaching him that. But you don't even realize as a teacher, whether it be that specific thing, magic, or whatever it is, whether it's the subject matter that that keys in with a child,
right,
or just being kind to them. My history is such that I spent a lot of time with teaching minority kids in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, and Queens Village, and if anything, it was the kindness and the warmth that you exude and the caring that you exude for that child at that particular time that means more to them than the particular subject matter that you're teaching.
Right. So you think that not only do you inspire people through magic, but you inspire people in the classroom to pursue their passion. Would that be a fair statement.
I would hope so. It wasn't something that I was just trying to survive myself,
Yeah.
and learning the business. I mean, I did it for 34 years. You always feel as though you're learning, whether it be magic or whether it be teaching. You always feel as though there's something new, there's something more that you could do, and it was more in retrospect. You think about what it is that how you touched people, whether it be the students in terms of helping them that way, or just touching people on in the business of performing. That they will remember. You get called back. You do their third birthday party, their fifth birthday party. Before you know it, they're calling you up to do their bar mitzvah. Then they're calling you up. I'm getting married, and I've done that. And I'm not the only entertainer.
And then the divorce.
Well, there's a story. There are stories that go along with that too, but
right.
We'll save that for another time. But yeah. And it's not. Believe me, it's certainly not just me. I mean, I know, as I said, having been the president of my magic club, and I know all the magicians on Long Island, and all of them have had that experience where they get called back all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a nice feeling.
The way that I see what you do is as if you have a role in your community, and so here on Long Island, you're in East Northport. And you have a role in that community, and you entertain, and that's a role that people have, and you don't abuse that role either. But you have your role, and that's what you do, and you make people smile. Is that for you? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I think I think the key is that certainly everybody in the community, whether it be the firemen or the policemen, and certainly I'm not just channeled into East Northport. I work all over the island,
right.
and in Queens and in Brooklyn, and go into the city and whatever it is. But community is our people, and whoever it is that that you interact with. And it's not only what you can give to the community, but what it is that they give to you.
You're very close with your family. Tell me about your family. You have some grandchildren as well. What is your relationship like with them, first of all, and then also what do they see your art, your entertainment at?
Well, my oldest is 11 years old, and I've been doing probably 11 birthday parties, and
for the friends,
and for the friends and like that. But the family, all of my grandchildren and all of my cousins and nephews. I mean, you have to go back, in terms of family.
Yeah,
you can,
extended family as well.
Right, and you talk about if I talk to my nephew who's in Florida, and he's married with 3 children of his own, and he'll still remember, oh, you made me laugh when blah 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 blah, and so.
And that's the best reaction you can get.
So, my humor is more important to my shows than I think that my magic is. It's sort of like there are prop comedians, as an example. There was a Carrot Top, as one of the main. I don't know, Carrot Top. He's before your time.
A little before my time.
Okay, but he's a prop comedian.
Right,
is one that doesn't tell jokes per se, but then picks something up, and then makes a joke about that particular item. Right. As a magician, these are my props.
Right, they're your tools of the trade.
Exactly, and all of the jokes and all of the humor dances around these props.
Right.
And so it's more the humor than the magic. And in terms of getting back to the family again, so all of my all of my extended family and my grandchildren and my children, it's as if I walk around with with this shirt all the time, that says Theatricks by Phil, right? Even if I'm not wearing it, it's like that. Or on my forehead it says magician, Daddy is a magician and Papa is a magician and that kind of thing.
Right.
So it's
your identity.
it's my identity, but part of who I am is just I don't want to emphasize my feeling of warmth towards my children and my grandchildren, but that's who I am, and I think that's as a performer, you have to be who you are. Everybody buys the same trick. Every magician will buy this. I'll point to this deck of cards again. What they do with it, in the instructions, and maybe when you were a kid, you might have purchased the magic trick, and in the instructions it says, do this, that, and this, and that, and fine, and you do the trick.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if every magician did exactly that, it would be boring as heck.
And nothing separates you from another magician.
Right. So what what we all tell each other, and there are lectures that try to to help us mold our own personalities, ourselves. As I said, we're always learning, and you have to be yourself.
Right.
And in my particular case, I'm more of a humorist and dance around with my props.
I enjoyed your comedy there, and I want to ask you this. We have about 30 seconds. Just want to ask you, though, is there a story of where someone came up to you and said, you made me so happy today that there's something I was going through, whether it be a veteran, because I saw it there at the VFW a couple of weeks ago, or someone else who said, it inspired me, it made my day?
There have been quite a number of people that have said that to me, and it's when at the end of a show, when somebody comes up to you and says, "You really took me out of my real life, just for a moment, and I really appreciate it." That's better than or just as good as that laugh that I'm fighting for, or those applause that I'm fighting for. That's more important, I think. I said just as important. I think it's more important because that's the reality of life, when somebody can say something like that to you.
Phil Levy, thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Neil.